We are continuing with Debussy's Arabesque and how to practice it. Today is lesson 6 and we're covering bars 26 to 33. Last week was a bit of a doozy. This week will be a little bit calmer. Well, what's going on in this section? Really, there's two parts. There's the busyness section where there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the inner voice, as well as a melody and a bass line. And then there's also the latter half of it, which has these running left-hand arpeggios. And then the messy middle, which is a bit of an overlap of both. So what I'd like to do today is cover something that'll make practicing this easier on you. So what's that going to look like? For the first part, where it's like the crazy busyness, we are going to practice trusting and letting go. Not in life, although that's a whole other discussion that we should probably all work on if you're anything like me. But we're going to trust in the pedal, and we're going to practice letting go of the held notes in the melody so that we can then play that busy inner voice. And then second, we're going to break down the arpeggios. Let's get to it. So that's the section we're working on, but I want to ask you a question. Did you notice that some notes were lost? Probably not. If you did, like, extra special gold star. But really what happened when there was a held note in the melodic line, I released it, let the pedal hold it, and if that butted up against a pedal change, that melodic line was just gone for a single beat. But with so much going on in the section, it gets lost. So it doesn't matter. And the fact that it doesn't matter makes it so much easier on you to practice. So what I want you to do is a little bit of a twofold. You can break this up into two different sessions. First, I want you to practice the pedaling, because if we can get this down, this allows the pedal to hold the notes instead of our fingers. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the middle line. And secondly, you can do this after, or you can practice it all together. We're going to trust in the pedal, and we're going to practice letting go, literally letting go of the key that's holding the melodic line. It'll look something like this. I bet you heard at that time the note that was cut off at the pedal change in the melodic line. So what's going to happen is we need to trust that that's okay. Let go of that note in the first place. Trust the pedal to hold it. And then there's a garbage truck. It's going to get really loud for a second here. We'll go through it. Anyways, so you're going... Okay, they're gone. So what was I saying? You're trusting that both the pedal will hold the melodic line, and that by letting go, it frees us up to play the inner voices without adding a whole bunch of tension and technicalities to our playing. And it also draws the ear to that, and we will not miss that one beat that was not carried over by the pedal. Have a look at what it would look like if you don't see that held melodic note, and with looking at it this way will help sort of just trigger that brain to remember to release it. Because we want to let go, we want to release. We can do that with life too. And I don't even want to get into that. There's just so much that goes on in life that we don't need to carry it. We don't need to hold it and hold all that tension in our body all the time. And the same for music. We don't need to hold this note. We have a pedal doing it for us. I really do find that useful, looking at it as though it's written without holding onto it and relying on the pedal really helps. It really helps just get out of my head of I'm supposed to be doing everything all at the same time. My fingers are supposed to be holding the notes at the same time as the pedal's holding the notes. It's really too much. Release, let go, trust. Now the arpeggios. That's a different story. Now, how are you going to practice these arpeggios? First off, there's two different types of arpeggios in this section. There's the short little ones that start off with an octave. They're both very much the same in form and style. Starts off with a broken octave, then a broken chord on top of it. Did you notice the chord? Let's have a look. First octave, we've got a B, followed by the top part of the B7 chord. The second one, we've got a G sharp octave, followed by an E major triad. So this is exactly how you're going to practice these two. Right hand aside, forget about the other octave, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's just play these two hand positions as chunks. And a trick here, jump, hover, and then play. Do you know what I mean by hover? It means you play the octave, you then move to the next position, make your fingers, place your fingers over each of the keys, get them in place, that's hovering, and then play them. So again, G sharp octave, move your hand to the E major triad, make sure every finger is in position, and then play. So I guess trust comes in here too a bit. The more you practice this with the hovering, the faster it will go on its own. You don't need to push it. You don't need to be frantic to get there. Practice hovering, then playing. Eventually, your hands will be in the correct position on their own more quickly. So in the next step, let's try breaking that octave. And then same thing, land, hover, and then play the top chord. And then, next step, break it all up together. Take that space though between the octave and the chord. Still leave a little bit of a breath in there. All right, you ready to add in the right hand? We're going to back it up again before we add in the right hand. Break the octave and then land in a solid chord. Doable? Now let's put it all together. And that's it. That's it. Just stop there. Not too crazy. All right, so now we will move on to how are we going to practice that second octave. Oh, I keep calling them octaves. This is like the fourth take I've done. We're going to move on to the second arpeggio style in this. Not an octave. There's octaves in it, yes. Again, though, it actually does start with a broken octave, and then it moves up from there. And we're going to practice it very much the same way. But instead of being two distinct sections, octave chord, this one is a bit more spread out. It actually moves between the two hands as well. So first we're going to figure out where does it move between the two hands. Right here is where we're going to do the cutoffs, left hand to right hand pass over. What I find actually really makes this both easier to play technically and musically stand out even more is if you treat that first note as a bass, 5, and then you jump up to the chord above it. So 5, 5 is the fingering we're going to try here. It'll look something like this. And to even give a bit more emphasis, this allows us to take a breath before really starting the sweep upwards in this. 'Cause this spans, like, how far does it span? This spans over 3 octaves. Let's make that span really feel like it by taking a breath between that first bass note, super low here, and then the next one that we play. So in this sense, as I've written it out as a way of practicing it, I've actually added an additional beat to really give you that space to move while you're practicing. This is actually one big chord going up. We've got an F sharp minor 7 happening here. The very first one, we skipped that minor third. Really interesting choice on Debussy's part. It goes F sharp, F sharp, C sharp, E. And then now we get that minor third, F sharp, A, C sharp, E. Then F sharp, then there's your minor third again. The A stands out because that's the highest note in the arpeggio. G sharp, F, E again. The other cool part with practicing it this way, 5 to 5, you really do end up in a root position with your hand each time. You could practice, if you wanted to, do a F sharp dominant 7th chord all the way up the piano in root position. That's essentially what we're doing here. We're just only doing it over 3 octaves instead of the entire piano. Now let's try breaking it up though. Again, give yourself space. So here we're going to, again, let go, trust. I said this wasn't going to apply to the arpeggios. Apparently it does. We're going to really trust the pedal to hold that first note, and we're going to let go of it, give it space to breathe while we move our hand to the official beginning of what will then be the sweeping arpeggio. All right, do you see what happened there? We gave ourselves space to move, 5 to 5, and then use that as a sweep. And the final part is to add the music and the musicality to it. It's a big, sweeping, epic arpeggio. It's so epic, Debussy put it in twice. So we're going to crescendo all the way up to that A and then come down just a teeny bit. I think that this really does give you an amazing way to practice this that makes it so much easier and broken down. And just doing these little things, just focus on one thing at a time and build upon it. Remember to trust the pedal in this section. Oh my God, you're gonna totally trust the pedal. Allow that breath in the left-hand arpeggio as you make these jumps. This section has space. We had the last section we did, it was crazy. It was just movement, 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 so much going on. And this one here, this is where we finally get to breathe a bit. And yes, there's a lot of busyness going on in the inner voice. But within that, there is the space to breathe. You're meant to trust. You're meant to let go of the notes and let everything flow. Take your time, do what works for you. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Remember, if you want to follow along and learn the next section with us next week, hit subscribe. Let me know how you like this lesson, how it went for you. I'd really love to hear if any of these tips worked, or if you have some tips on how to practice this section to make it like quick and easy to learn, please also let me know below. I'm in for it. Okay, I'll see you next week.